Hi everyone, it's Martin MacDonald, a music director of the Cathedral Bluffs Symphony Orchestra, and I am doing this video a little bit different this week. I'm in the park across the street from what's soon to be my former house. Normally I do these videos in my home, in my office, to introduce you to the next concert, but we recently bought a house, and our house is in a complete utter upheaval right now, and we're between two houses, moving and cleaning and painting. So I thought it might be nice to tape a video outdoors for you, especially since this music is very sunny, very bright, very folksy, very has lots of sort of outdoor elements to it, and that sort of fresh atmosphere. So I thought, oh, I'll just go to the park across the street and record this video, since my house is a complete utter uproar at the moment, and it's also full of people because my in-laws are here helping us move as well. So but we're very excited. Our new house is we're remaining in East Toronto. We're in Scarborough, a little bit closer to the Chinese Cultural Center of Greater Toronto. So we're very happy to be here, living in the community still, as we were before, and it's very exciting for us. So we have a fantastic program for you coming up on Sunday. It's our season finale. It wasn't supposed to be our season finale. Our season finale was supposed to be in May. But because of the January lockdown, we had to move a few things around and reschedule into June, which is sort of a late concert for us. But we're very happy to do it. And we have it on an unusual day. It's on Sunday, June 26th at 8 p.m. at the CCC, instead of being on Saturday night, which is our normal night, but we're having it on a Sunday evening for this one concert in particular. So it's a wonderful season finale. It's going to really feature the orchestra. There's no soloist on this concert, and these kinds of concerts are so great for an orchestra because it really allows the orchestra to shine in every way. They are center stage, and there's so much great orchestral music that we can play, and we are very proud to present to you 4 different works on this program that we know you're going to love, each and every one of them. And the theme of the concert, well, it's not really a theme, I guess, but the running sort of narrative of the concert is this sort of this folk and sort of rustic elements to the concert, and lots of dance elements, and it really represents music of the people in various formats. Because when you say music of the people, you can mean a lot of things. You can mean music that, the sort of hymns or national anthems or patriotic music or nationalistic music. There's lots of composers you would call nationalistic. There's also music of the people that are the folk tunes that are collected from people. And a lot of composers did that. Ray Vaughan Williams did that. Bela Bartok did that. And so many others as well, would collect folk tunes from the different villages that they would attend and visit, and then they would work them into their orchestral compositions and treat them very seriously in a very serious format, in terms of, and I say serious in terms of, in an orchestral setting, in a classical orchestral setting. So we have 4 different composers, and each one's going to bring their own sort of identity to the concert, and bring all of these folk elements, these dance elements, these music of the people, this all of these different things to the program itself in their own special and unique way. So we're going to talk about first the main work on the program, which is going to be the second half. And that is Antonin Dvorak's mighty Symphony Number 8 in G major, the very sunny key of G major. And Dvorak's Symphony Number 8, I must tell you, is in my top 5 favorite works of all time. It is a wonderful, majestic, beautiful there's not enough words to describe just how wonderful this music is for you to listen to, but also wonderful for the musicians to play. It plays so well under the fingers. It works so well. There are so many tunes and so many ways for the orchestra to show their virtuosity, and that's one of the great things about this symphony. I often call it a cello symphony. That's because the cellos seem to have the main theme a lot of the time. And it's section, the whole section gets to play together and play these beautiful tunes. Dvorak was such a fine crafter of melody. He knew how to spin a tune so well. He knew how to find the right intervals and the keys and the inflections, and this symphony is a shining example of that. You'll find the cello section taking on the main themes so often, especially in the first movement where they do it in the exposition, and then again in the recap, and then as well in the last movement where we have sort of like this opening theme and all these different variations where they just shine. And the first movement has all these wonderful dramatic elements to it. Great tunes, as I was saying, lots of wonderful rhythms, bohemian rhythms that Dvorak was so well known for, and just beautiful lines, beautiful tunes. You'll hear, a very short English horn solo. You'll hear the trumpet take over at different times. You hear the low brass section get to really get to play out many times, and there's just wonderful things for everyone. The second movement is a beautiful, beautiful slow movement. It's so gorgeous with its aching melodies and these such turbulent sections as well. He really knew how to juxtapose a turbulent section with just such gorgeous music. Then the third movement is a wonderful waltz that seems to have, although waltzes tend to have dance characteristics, it doesn't seem to have quite that, because there's always this sort of holding back with it all the time. And then a beautiful, wonderful, fun little trio section that's so chirpy and so brilliant in its qualities, and then a fun little coda to play at the end. And then the last movement, as I said before, is this sort of like this theme and variations in many ways, and the opening fanfare with the trumpets, and then all these sort of cello sections where they take over the theme, and then we launch into the finale, this rousing music that will lift you off your seats. It's just magnificent and ends with such a bang. It's such a great piece of music. I've conducted it so many times, and it's just one of those pieces that you cannot wait to the point in the season to conduct it, and it's a perfect way to end the season. Then we'll talk about the first half of the program. The first half of the program, we've got three very distinct works. We're going to open with Brahms' Hungarian Dances, and the Brahms Hungarian Dances will be numbers 5, 6, and 7. Now, Brahms had collected some of these themes for these Hungarian dances from some colleagues that he had worked with, and he sort of made these connections, and he'd really become involved in like that sort of rustic Hungarian sort of it's not really a word anymore, but that sort of that gypsy feel, the Romanian sort of Eastern European, because Brahms was German himself, and so he wrote these dances originally for piano. And it later became orchestrated for various ensembles over the years by different arrangers, and Brahms actually made quite a lot of money from these dances. He profited quite well because they were some of his very most popular works. And these particular dances, 5, 6, and 7, we're going to do all three as a set, and they were orchestrated and arranged by Martin Schmeling, and it's a wonderful arrangement. And number 5, of course, you'll know very well. It's very popular, from pop culture, from commercials. You've probably heard it, and you might have even heard it on a cartoon at one point. But just so much fun because you can really feel all the different, as I was saying before, about all the different nuances and inflections and turns and little slowdowns and speed ups, and how it's really designed to be like different every time, because there are lots of different sections that are like very similar material that are repeated, and it's never quite the same way twice, and that's the way Brahms wanted it. So 3 very different dances, each with their own flavor. And played wonderfully by our CBSO. And then after that, we're going to do a very special piece for you by Robert Rivol. He is a Canadian composer. He is currently based in Ottawa, but he had written this piece while he was resident composer of the Edmonton Symphony Orchestra. And he called it the Northwest Passage Variations. And at one point during his residency, he went to the artistic administration and said, I would like to write for you a theme in variations, which is a very popular orchestral form. And they said, that's great. Let's write a theme in variations. How about doing it on a popular tune, like a folk tune? And he said, that's a great idea. I will do it on a folk tune. And then they said, why don't you do it on a Canadian folk tune? And he said, that's even a better idea. So he chose Stan Rogers' Northwest Passage, which is a very, very famous Canadian folk song, a sea shanty by the, Stan Rogers is an iconic figure in Canadian folk music, or was an iconic figure in Canadian folk music. And, the Northwest Passage is an incredibly recognizable piece of music. I think everyone knows it. And so he took this tune and he put all of these variations to it, and they're really ingenious. I mean, they're all very tuneful and keep the spirit of the folk tune. However, he treats every variation quite differently, with different groupings of instruments, different orchestrations, different treatments, different tempos, different dynamics. And it's a wonderful piece. It's only about 12 minutes long, but it really takes the tune of Northwest Passage from Stan Rogers, and it takes it far off into the distance in many respects, and then brings it right back for the finale. And we're going to have a very special treat on Sunday night. Robert is going to join us. He's going to be there with us in the audience, and I've invited him to come up on stage before the concert to introduce the piece to you. And it's so special for us to have the composer in the audience so that they can hear their own music. It's very, very special. And I've conducted a couple of pieces by Robert over the years, this one in particular, and it's a really effective, lovely piece of music that I'm sure you're going to enjoy every minute. And I will let him tell you more about it on Sunday. And then finally, to finish the first half, we will present to you Sibelius's Finlandia. And now Jean Sibelius is a very much, the epitome of a nationalistic composer, sort of the composer of the people, the composer that composed music for the people of the people, and using themes and using rhythms and using, I say it again, we're using inflections and nuances from the music of the Finnish people. And Finlandia is a shining example of that. And it's funny, Finlandia has this wonderful hymn in it that we all mistake for being a traditional Finnish hymn. It's not. It's not a Finnish hymn at all. He composed it entirely himself. It's all from Sibelius, but he was just so good at capturing the flavor that people just assume that it was some sort of Finnish anthem or something like that. It's not. It's Sibelius's own music, and it is a majestic piece of music. It is. It was written in protest of Russian aggression and on Finland at the time, which is, of course, very fitting today, given everything that's going on in the world with Russia and Ukraine. And this was a symbol of their pushback on Russian oppression in the late 19th century. So this was his way to show that struggle, and you'll hear that internal struggle in the piece. It opens very, very dark and there's this conflict, and suddenly we have this absolutely tremendous hymn come from out of nowhere, and then we have a blazing finale showing that their positive outcome over this struggle. So this was Sibelius's way to represent that. So, and then of course, like I said, we have the Dvorak in the second half. It's a wonderful concert. There will be lots of great music, 4 different composers, orchestra center stage. We'll have the Canadian composer Robert Ravel there with us to celebrate our season finale on Sunday evening, June 26th at 8 p.m. at the Chinese Cultural Center of Greater Toronto. And finally, I should say, we're just about ready to announce our 2022-2023 season. I can't tell you much because I don't want to give it away, but we have a blockbuster season ahead for you. So much fun, so much great music, thrilling soloists, wonderful, I don't want to say anymore, but please look at your subscriptions for next season. Come back, bring your friends, because we've got some absolutely fantastic adventures ready and waiting for you and for the orchestra. But before that, please join us on Sunday for our season finale. We're so excited. We are bringing everything to a close. It's going to be great, and thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for coming on Sunday, and we'll see you then.